Always remember these are general collective messages, and the more my channel grows, the more broad it kind of gets. While you may get some specific energy coming through that resonates with your story, not all of it is going to, so please use these insights responsibly. This one in particular is going to be more inner child healing, so childhood wounds and such. We do a lot of inner alchemy, self-healing on this channel through tarot readings. That's how I read for tarot. If you'd like a personal reading, you can email me in the description box below. But otherwise, these are very general and collective, okay? All of these readings, everyone on my channel. So don't make it about me, don't make it fully about you, but if it helps you, gives you any sort of insight whatsoever to your situation, wonderful. Again, use these insights responsibly, and please only take what actually fits your story. We do healing work on this channel. Sometimes I spread awareness. Hey, welcome back, Lauren. Sometimes I spread awareness for certain types of situations so that you can better prepare and protect yourself out in the world. Hello. We do a lot of different things on this channel, but the goal is always healing and insights that can help you learn more to be a stronger individual on your own. So keep that in mind. And if you missed this full little disclaimer, you can catch it on the replay if you want. There are some videos that I have that are not able to be replayed for whatever reason. Like I just made one and it completely disappeared after, so that's okay. But it is what it is. But I know the ones that are meant for whoever to see them will reach the people that they're meant to see. I'm not doing personal readings on this channel, just general collective. You can email me though if you'd like a personal reading. This one's going to be about inner child healing specifically, so hopefully you'll be able to find some sort of resonance here. And if not, that's okay too. Enjoy it for entertainment or educational purposes. I'm going to drop in, so I'm not going to be paying attention to the chat too much, but welcome in, you guys. Feel free to chat amongst yourselves. Ignore any nasty energies, and I might have some mods that come in and help you guys out with that, so that's not cluttering up the chat at all. Alright, I'm re-scrying while I'm reading, so I'm not going to be paying attention too much to the chat, but I might read your comments here and there when it catches my attention. Good morning. Well, good evening for me, but alright. Custores. Presidio. Luxnea. Adesso. Veritate e profundo lucere. Clare, mihi ostende. Okay. So, again, we're going to be talking about inner child healing on this one. Specifically, this could be like if you're a child divorce, this one might be a deep one for you to help you work through some sort of situation. It feels there's a lot of dread here, and it could have been like some sort of, could have even been someone was like in a car wreck or something when they were younger. I got chills for that. Or there's just some, like maybe you had one parent that was like a real a-hole. It doesn't have to be that, but applied to your situation. There could have been like a situation very specifically where there's like a divorce here. So it feels like a family that was wrecked or something along those lines. And there's like, the dread is kind of about going into the pain of this. It could have been too that some people have found themselves in situations that were really unsafe because of whoever was not willing to grow. But so when facing inner child wounds, right? When we're facing inner child wounds, it can be tough. There is this sense of dread there, but this is the thing that's going to help free you from whatever pain that you went through so that you can have a better life for yourself and break these like generational wounds and whatever patternings you see in your family. But basically what you want to do, like, because sometimes this can bring up a bit of panic, right, when we're facing childhood wounds. And depending on your situation, that's going to be at varying degrees. So it makes you feel unsafe while you're facing these wounds. But that's why it's important to have a safe space to deal with these things. So, and comfort and anything that'll keep you grounded. And just remembering to remind yourself that you are safe. You are safe. 11 hours, that's a good sleep right there. You are safe where you are, so you want that safe space so that you can feel that safety while you're moving through these heavy emotions here, so that you can understand them, right? Understand them on a deeper level. All right, hell yeah, then you came to the right place. So and I definitely resonate with that myself, but we can absolutely heal those things and break those cycles, but we have to do the deeper inner work so that we can understand. But we have to find safety for our inner child that was hurt in whatever way. So again, for you, that could be issues within like your parents' marriage. There could have been a lot of court situations that you found yourself in. Just whatever wrecks of a situation that you found yourself in. That's what we're gonna work through today. So we'll do a bit of alchemizing, so you can be that self-healer. What's up, Chick Douglas? I can't really turn the volume up. I just have a soft voice, but I'll try to project better. Thank you. That's what in back there. Alright, anyways, back to the story then. I'm not going to be paying attention to the chat too much, you guys. But feel free to chat amongst yourselves. We're talking about inner child healing. Okay. First card falling out is the Justice in reverse. So, and we also have the Court card here. So you might even find yourself in some sort of like court situation today for some injustice that you experienced when you were younger. That's only going to be for some. For others, this is going to be like you're a child of divorce, or like a broken family kind of situation, or perhaps you're like put through the I can't think of words sometimes, the system as a child. Perhaps like you were treated a certain way and projected onto a lot. We could have people who whose parents were irresponsible, and so that kind of puts you through the I can't think of the word right now, but good to see you, Uncle Buddy. Like, okay, you know when you're a child, you go through like a system, like if you have to go through, like if child protective services have to come through, you know, and you get put through the system like that. For some of you, you might resonate with that. I just get like either broken family due to like divorce, or for some it could be like your parents were really irresponsible, possibly even abusive in some ways. Only apply it to your situation as it fits, but it feels like, because with the Justice in reverse falling out with the Wheel of Fortune at the bottom of the deck, it feels like through this inner child healing you're doing, through breaking those cycles, it is really turning things around for you. But at the same time, it could be, excuse me, for one, it's hard to sometimes reach the truth safely or feel safe to reach that, to give your inner child what you need to heal. But I'm also getting, it could be creating what feels like an imbalance for whoever wronged you in your past, for whoever made you feel unsafe in your past as a child. That the karmic scales are, it's feeling more imbalanced for them, whereas maybe they had the reins for a while, maybe they had a certain sense of control over you in some ways, and and it's taking you a long time to work your way out of this and come back to yourself and turn things back in your favor so that you can free yourself from this dynamic. But by freeing yourself, that leaves them with their karma, which maybe you were the one carrying all that weight on your back. Maybe you were the one who was like the support of your family even from a young age, and you had to grow up way too fast. So your inner child is so wounded because you weren't really allowed to be one, you know. I appreciate the woman. Very funny. Alright, so it feels like, yeah, you doing this work is really, really wonderful for you, but not necessarily for the people of your past. We're gonna see how, I mean, there could be people of your past who really never took the time to learn their lessons, and they're now feeling really foolish as you grow and heal, and they've spent all this time projecting onto you and trying to maintain this sense of control that was an illusion the entire time. It was never really anything real to grasp onto. Yeah, that can definitely happen, and so, which is why it's important for each one of us to break those cycles and break the patterns that we see as much as possible. And naturally, certain aspects might seep in, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you become them, especially if you resonate with being more like a black sheep, or you know, something along those lines where you don't really fit into your family, you're a bit more secluded from them. I mean, it's, you know, probably for a reason, because you're fighting against those things, right? We've got the Hanged Man in reverse, and the Sun energy. So it feels like a lot of clarity after darkness, right? After moving through, I don't know, possibly even a dark night of the soul, after making many mistakes yourself and trying to learn how to break out of these cycles of pain. And I get whoever is needing this message, like, specifically went through like cycles of being treated very poorly, or again possibly abusive situations. So only apply it to your situation as it fits, but this is like the light at the end of the tunnel. And out of this space in your life where you were like, you felt hung in suspension, where it was hard to move forward, because Hangman is reversed now. It's like you've enlightened yourself to the point where you have all this clarity on who you are, why you were treated the way that you were, and understanding that you are safe now. And this really never had anything to do with you. It had to do with their own wounds, and and how they never took the time to heal those things. You know, they never put that effort in to learn those things themselves. They never took the time to enlighten themselves on these things. So now that karma really stays with them as you move forward, freeing yourself from this energy, and now you're safe, and perhaps you're even creating your own family from a completely new dynamic, because you took the time to make these huge shifts within yourself. I'm getting chills, confirmation here. You worked so hard in order to do this. But I do want to get a bit into process a bit for those who are still working on this childhood healing, because it really kind of is a lifelong process, depending on what you've been through. But we generally, as humans, our psyche can only take so much at once, so we take things in small doses. Every trigger that's hit, that's where we do that inner work. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, if you've had your boundaries stepped all over, or like you weren't allowed to have them, things like that, and you're just cycles of this, and meeting more people out in the world with higher hopes that you can connect in better ways, but then it was still happening. It's because it was what was familiar to you, you know. But it feels like you've been working really, really hard to break those cycles, and you're now in a space where you have that safety, and you're still doing the deeper work there. But there's there's definitely a lot there where, and you might even have certain family members who are really trying to like prevent you from living in your own personal truth, still trying to maintain that sense of control over you, trying to keep their own sense of safety, but it's so that they can avoid their own karma, you know, but that's not on you, that's not your responsibility. You can let that go, let that burden go, knowing that that is for them to deal with, and they should have taken that on themselves, you know, the entire time. That was never your responsibility. It feels like a huge weight lifted off your shoulders from just separating yourself, making like severing those connections, possibly for some. For some, it's just distancing yourself and setting stronger boundaries, and these family members maybe don't like your boundaries now. Maybe they fight you on your boundaries, or again, if you've had to completely sever ties in some cases, then sometimes that is the very thing that you need to get that clarity and that sense of safety, and depending on how bad your situation was, you know. Yeah, you gotta set those boundaries. Gotta set those boundaries. Let's get into alchemical process a bit. Boy, okay. The oil of vitriol. Thank you. I had my hair long, I just shaved it off to like reset myself, my life, and I like it. I need ease right now, but it'll grow out again eventually. But I mean, it's not for you to decide what I do with my hair, is it? So oil of vitriol, we got mortification, and we've also got the void here. Absolutely, yeah, no one's got a perfect life. We've all been through some shit. To varying degrees, of course. Whoever I'm talking to is definitely probably gonna, I mean, again, it's gonna be a mix of energies here, but there is a sense of safety that has been damaged, you know, and so it can, like, you might be someone who experiences a lot of anxiety, and sometimes you don't even know why. So the deeper that you go, you might start having more and more realizations, and this could have been even like if you're really sensitive, for example, like someone yelling at you, like in this card here, and you're just showing up as you are, you know, your little golden heart as a child, you know. Children are always closest to God. But getting yelled at by adults and not sure because they don't know how to deal with their emotions, they're volatile. That could feel very unsafe, and for some people in some households it can get even worse than that, right? I feel like whoever I'm talking to definitely, and especially depending on the generation that you're coming from, like things used to be very, very different in how they treated children. So very different from today, right? I think a lot of people are breaking generational cycles now because, like, more and more so because we're realizing certain behaviors are extremely toxic. So, but as human beings, we all have, to varying degrees, our own toxic traits, and these come out in times when we're pushed to the brink, right? So this is what we're learning from, but not everyone's willing to learn from those things. Some people just act out in them constantly and become abusers themselves. So they have zero control over themselves. But who I'm talking to, you would be the ones that are breaking those cycles and have been since you were young, trying to make sure that you don't end up the same, because you would never want to hurt someone in the way that you've been hurt, right? So whoever I'm talking to definitely experience like toxicity and volatility within your home life, and that is a huge source of that anxiety for you. Why your sense of safety is a bit distorted. Oof. Chills. This is gonna bring up some release for some people. Take it slow. If you need a break from this, feel free. But it also might just be really relieving. I feel a weight off your shoulders. I also feel a weight off your chest. Like you gaining clarity on why you don't feel safe. And this could be as simple as getting yelled at for something in your childhood, and maybe now you don't feel safe to do the thing that you love so much. You know, you have a lot of anxiety around that. For some, it could be far worse, because I have the mortification card out as well. For some, it could be far, far worse. For some, there could have been a serious, serious events that happened that I'm getting like almost obliterated your sense of safety. Like it is so hard to feel safe in your your own body sometimes. For some, and I'm so sorry for any of you that have had to endure those types of situations, because those things are not easy to heal from, to feel safe from, even as an adult, and when you're much more able to protect yourself and care for yourself. These things can be so deeply ingrained in us that fear can drive us away from like connecting to others deeply. Like vulnerability feels unsafe, you know. Having depth in our connections can feel unsafe. Being still being still inside yourself can feel unsafe, because it's like a sense of like what's gonna happen next, or when is the next thing gonna happen, like when am I gonna be unsafe again, kind of thing. So you might find yourself repeatedly in situations that feel unsafe to you, and it's hard to trust yourself. Or like when like in the face of confrontation you freeze, or don't know what to do, or some people might get reactive with that, but you go into, you know, your fight or flight, or fight, flight, freeze, fawn, whatever your mode of survival is in those moments, to protect yourself in the way that you learned from a very young age. This would be like a learned trait in childhood. It's like your go-to kind of response to dealing with certain types of interaction, confrontation, or even vulnerability. Sometimes it can be love itself, right? If you're not familiar with feeling love when you were a child, or love was very conditional, then love, when it's presented to you, like even safe love, can feel dangerous and unfamiliar. So you might lean into what feels familiar because that's what feels safe, even when it's not actually safe. So to break out of patterns like that, so that you can build a life for yourself that feels not just safe but rewarding, and something that you actually want, something that you've actually dreamed of, and you know is possible because you see it out in the world, but you just were never sure how to make it possible for yourself. Just keep going a little deeper, little bits at a time, because little by little you will get there. But no rush in your healing, because your psyche can only take so much at once, and depending on the degree of trauma that you've experienced, you know, certain things are a lot harder to heal from. So just have patience with your process, and bring as much light into the darkness as much as possible. But exploring your depths is not going to hurt you so much. While it can sometimes feel like it's re-traumatizing you, it's more like a release of trauma. Every time we get triggered, it's an opportunity to release trauma if we can surrender and settle in to our safety. But we have to find a way to ground ourselves in that safety in the moment. We have to actually be in a safe space too, and be around people who can support you in those moments, or be by yourself if you need to. And I also want to recommend anyone who's doing this type of deep work, it does always help to have professionals um, to help you work through that. Talk therapy is very helpful for a lot of people. If it's not helpful for you, that's fine. I'm not trying to force it on anyone, but I do always have to recommend that, because it can be very helpful, especially when you're facing certain types of experiences that are very dark and troublesome, and it feels traumatizing, and you need someone else to help you work through that, to give you some insights. It can be a very powerful tool to have, because a lot of you have gone through some pretty hellish experiences, and as a child that so new to life, not knowing what to do with that, being faced with so much darkness right away, it really changes who you are. I mean, no matter what age you experience trauma, it changes you in a big way, but it steals things away from you. It robs you of things, right? And then we have to find a way to pick up the pieces and put ourselves back together. But as a child, you're not gonna know how to do that. You're hardly grasping what life even is, you know? Sometimes it can feel like you're stuck in time or stuck in a loop. Sometimes I don't know, I'm getting a sense of like stagnancy here. Sometimes it feels like you're not able to move forward, or you're not able to get out of this. But you are. Getting something about like, I don't know, feeling stuck in certain memories, and if you feel like certain things are continuing to resurface, it's not because you're not moving past it or not healing past it. Sometimes things just take time because you need to gain multiple perspectives on that. So every time it comes up, you're gaining a new like sliver of a perspective, and over time it creates like a bigger picture of what's going on, so we can feel through all the complexity of the trauma that we've been through in small doses, and then over time we understand more of the truth of what happened, and how it affected us and why, and you know, all those things. We start answering our questions, and but it is a process, so have patience with your process. It's a slow moving process to work through trauma. You never want to rush it, because rushing it would be more traumatizing. Trust me. I've tried. It's not good to rush your process. Just take your time, take it slow, take it easy, breathe, and find yourself. Just always come back to center, and as much as you can, try to create more with the void here, more spaciousness. So meditating with yourself, and it doesn't have to be like you know, you can like literally sit, lay, whatever is comfortable, and just sit with yourself, whatever makes you feel safe. Sometimes I just wrap a whole blanket around myself, or lay in bed for however long I need. And if you gotta cry, feel however you need to feel. Just feel all the feelings, and they're gonna tell you something. They're gonna tell you about where you were, or where you were at, like what you were feeling, the multiple dimensions of those emotions as well. And then once you get it out of you, you're going to get even more clarity on the actual situation and the truth of the situation a little bit more every time. So there's so much information packed into your heart space, and heart wisdom is so important. And you'll feel more clear and more free and much lighter after every time you need to do that with yourself, and do it as often as necessary. How do you know when it's necessary? You will naturally feel the trigger. Anytime you feel triggered, take that time for yourself. And the more comfortable you get with that, the more you can express to your safe people around you, hey, I'm really triggered right now. I need this time to myself, or hey, I need a little support right now. Whatever you need, but start paying attention to that. What do you need? What does your body need? What does your heart need? What does your mind need? What does your soul need? Because we need to pay attention to all those things. And when you start feeding your personal needs, because you're paying attention, and these are your true needs. Sometimes it's a good cry. Sometimes you need a laugh. Sometimes, you know, sometimes you need to nurture your mind and take in some information, you know. Whatever you need, though. Sometimes you just need to have more water. Sometimes you need to have some food to ground yourself, you know. Pay attention. The more you get to know yourself, the better you can nurture yourself, and the more you're nurturing yourself through your process of healing. And we all need healing, so it's never just you, you know. We all need that. But if you're doing it, you're doing the responsible thing to heal yourself. You are going to break those cycles, and you're going to make a better life for yourself regardless. Happy Pride. Please don't keep doing that, or I will take you out of the comments. Alright, already done. Boom. Thanks, Anthony. So healing is a responsibility, and we all need to do it. We all need to take on that responsibility so that we can show up better for ourselves and each other. And then we can actually have depth in our connections, and it feels a hell of a lot better. We can be a lot more vulnerable with ourselves and each other, a lot more honest with ourselves and each other, and it feels really good. It feels really free, and over time we'll see a much better world taking root. Kind of going back into our roots as humans, you know? Embracing our humanity is feeling all the feels, and sometimes the feels suck, but it's part of being a human, so might as well be grateful for that experience, grateful to be alive, you know? Sometimes you feel your trauma is like a monster that you keep feeding, because that's the only thing that keeps you alive. You know, that is like that's something that I found in my healing too, but I can feel like that, and there is an aspect to it where it can be like almost like an emotional addiction, to where you're kind of more dwelling in things. But when you're feeling through it to get the release, and sometimes it feels extremely repetitive, as long as you're getting insight and new insight every time, it's not that you're feeding the trauma, you are feeding your growth, but it can sometimes feel like that. So just pay attention to where you're at. Are you dwelling in that stuff? Are you like cycling around it, or are you actually releasing it and gaining new insight from it? How do you manage to overcome your struggles? Personally for me, I have a lot of things that ground me. I use art, I use yoga, like I'll do lots of different types of art too. I've always been a visual artist since I was a kid, and that's always been something that's kept me going and gives me something to channel into where I don't have to think at all. I also, as an adult, kind of since like, I don't know, 2018, I started writing poetry. That helps me kind of understand how I'm feeling about things, and I just let the words flow. Being in my body and being active helps ground me. Breath work, I meditate. Eating a healthy diet and drinking enough water helps me a lot too. If I'm not doing that, I will be a hell of a lot more anxious. I don't know, there's a lot of things that I had to do. I had to completely like change my lifestyle around though, you know, so you kind of just gotta find what works for you. I feel like any sort of creative expression is helpful. Journaling was also helpful for a long time. I don't do it as much anymore, but it helped me a lot when I was very caught up in my head, so that I could get all the thoughts, and that's I got from a therapist actually. So I got all of the thoughts out of my head and onto a piece of paper, and I like physically wrote it, not just typing it out, physically wrote it out, getting it out of my head and onto paper so that I could clear what's in here. And then I can I can physically see what's going on in my inner world. That is also very helpful. Tarot cards also, yes, very, very helpful. This is just another art form for me. It's extremely helpful, and it's basically just tuning into your own intuition. It will help you sort through things. Sometimes if I'm too emotionally biased in my own experience and I can't figure something out, I will turn to other readers on YouTube to try to understand things better, and then that helps me gain more clarity. I use a lot of different things, so but you just gotta find what you connect to best and follow your curiosity. I am addicted to learning, and I always have been since I was really young. So I'm constantly absorbing knowledge. My mind's always hungry. My mind is always hungry. So I'm always learning about these things. I've always been studying people, trying to understand things, and I took I've taken sociology and psychology classes. A lot of my studies I do mostly on my own because I don't have any degrees or anything. I never went to college. I went to cosmetology school and makeup school. But I don't know, I love to learn personally, and I do learn a lot about these particular subjects and philosophy and spirituality, and I take deep dives, so I'm always learning as much as I can, but I don't rely solely on external knowledge. I go deep within. I'm very hermity. I spend a lot of time alone, and I do a lot of self-reflecting as well. I always have, and of course it's changed in how I've done it over the years. It's much more simple when I was younger, but as I've learned more, I've gotten a lot deeper into the complexity of things, and that's helped me a lot on my journey. So, but breath is one thing that is a huge anchor for me. That is something that you have wherever you go. So, anytime you feel really anxious, stop and slow down. I have this saying, when in doubt, do nothing. So if I'm in a lot of anxiety, if I'm doubting myself, if I'm unsure, confused, anything like that, I will literally just stop. Sometimes I pace around if I can't sit still until I calm enough, because that helps. And then I'll sit and I'll literally just let myself do nothing and let myself feel whatever I need to feel. And then it'll pass, right? Because this too shall pass. And then I get through and I gain more clarity, and I'm always learning in that way. I mean, that's up to you. I can't recommend that to anyone, but I mean, to each their own journey. I did some microdosing on my own journey. That was helpful, but I can't recommend it to you or necessarily anyone. I just recommend being safe, if anything. Really consider writing your CashApp and putting it on the wall behind. Okay, that's a good idea. I am gonna be moving soon though, so I don't know. I don't know what my situation is gonna be like exactly, but I will figure that out when I can. I appreciate you. All those links though are in my description box. Alright, let's see what the medicine is. Love, stillness, and offering. So it's like consistent message. Definitely lean on connections that are actually supportive to you. Spend some time in stillness so that you can take your mask off. You don't have to perform around anyone. That's why I love being alone so much, to be honest. Like, honestly, around people, sometimes I can make people uncomfortable when I'm being myself. So I'm a lot more stoic and neutral out in public a lot of time. That is a mask for me. It is what it is, but I am a lot weirder, and I just honestly, like, when I'm home, I'm a goof and I dance around like crazy and I do whatever, but sometimes I don't know, I let myself be messy, and sometimes that's all you need is to let yourself like unravel. And hopefully I'll get to a point where I can be that out in public without bothering people or feeling like I'm bothering people. But that's still my wounds to heal, right? I feel like a burden on people, which is why I feel more comfortable alone a lot of the time. But I'm extremely comfortable on my own in stillness, and it's taken me time to be comfortable in stillness sometimes. Like, still, even to this day, feeling through certain things, I will pace back and forth for a while sometimes until I find some calm, or I don't know, yoga is really helpful for that for me. But if you can anchor into your body, it helps to be in stillness, definitely. And sometimes just focusing on like art or something helps me to anchor in so that I can be still. And love yourself, but also it would probably suit you to lean into those connections that you know are healthy, even though are uncomfortable, but it's going to help you face yourself and heal your wounds. That's why it's really uncomfortable, and over time it gets more comfortable. And these are going to feel very unfamiliar to you. And so just so you see the contrast, it's presented as like a skin color contrast here, but that's not always necessarily the case. Also, I do feel like diversity and immersing yourself in other cultures can be very helpful that's something that helped me a lot in my process. So that can definitely be medicine, is learning from other cultures, learning from other types of people. Because the more you expand your heart and your mind, the more you'll be able to release and heal and grow, because you get new mindset. So don't be closed off. Allow yourself to transform, and you're gonna get that the most in your own safe space when you're by yourself. But create a space where, and a routine to where you have like a block of time out where it's just meant for stillness and calm and whatever, and anything that needs to happen in that space and that time can happen, but it has to be a safe space, because you can only heal when you feel safe. So a place for your nervous system to settle down, and learning about your nervous system is going to be one of the greatest tools that you can use. Because if you understand how to down-regulate your nervous system, like with your breath or even cold exposure, sometimes just putting like a cold water bottle on your chest can be extremely helpful. But learn to down-regulate your nervous system. And if you're really depressed, you can also up-regulate your nervous system to give yourself a little bit of energy and motivation. But learn to use your breath to interact with your nervous system so that you flow in the ways that you need to in the moment, and you'll know what you need by wherever you're at currently, right? So bring yourself back to the present moment as often as possible so that you can tune in. What do I need right now? And sometimes it's nothing. Sometimes that's a great place to be, because then you can just do what you want. That feels really good. That's very free. But take care of your needs first, and then your wants, because then your wants are true desires and not ego desires. There's also offering here. Another thing that really, really helps is getting outside of yourself as far as you can, because it'll make your own problems seem a lot smaller, which is another reason why I like to immerse myself in other cultures and learn from anyone and everything I can, so that I can gain new perspective. And then also it pulls me out of myself, right? So I'm not coming from a self-centered, selfish place ever, even when I'm taking time out by myself and being more selfish in that regard, I'm still usually learning about other things or trying to heal so that I can be the best that I can be. And that's necessary sometimes, so that I can be as selfless as possible when I do present myself to the world. And then I have so much more to offer. The gift is in the giving. The more you can give back, and this is karma yoga right here, the more you can give back, the more you can be of service to the world, to the greater good, in whatever way that suits you, the better you will feel, and you will see that comes right back to you. It's a really beautiful way to live, and have grace with your process. Only cover for today's. Have grace with yourself in your process, because this isn't easy work to do. If you're really truly wanting to break the cycles, you have to have grace and compassion for yourself. You have to be able to find forgiveness for yourself, for others, no matter how deeply you've been hurt. Work through those resentments. Find forgiveness to free yourself. It's not necessarily forgiveness to let people in and let them continue doing whatever. No, it's forgiving so that you can free your own heart from that pain. And that is the very thing that will get you through. Developing a relationship with yourself, your highest version of self as much as possible, your own inner spirit, and God, if you believe in that, if you don't, however you want to see that, but the Great Spirit moves through all things. It's what animates all of life. It is life. It's all-encompassing. That is what God is to me. And in its most simple form, of course, you can go deeper into exploring any religion or spirituality if you want. But you don't have to. You can keep it super simple. The life that is running through your body, have a relationship with that. But think mind, body, and soul. And the more that you think in those terms, the more whole you'll feel inside, and you can integrate yourself and master yourself through that. I did model when I was younger, but I'm like 33, almost 34 now, and I also didn't love modeling. It's not my favorite gig. What? Alright, anyways, I'm gonna leave that one there. That was a nice message to come through. I hope this was helpful for you guys, for whoever needed to hear that. I love you. I'll catch you later, daters. Como amore, ganito, seguido, el protego, factimus.